Well, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be breaking down very quickly why I do not believe Nate Diaz is going to be able to defeat Jake Paul. We're going to have 5 different things we're going to talk about. And just to remind people, or if you haven't been up to date on what I'm doing right now, I am down in Reno. I'm doing a week of private lessons with one person. And because of that, I don't have all my normal filming gear with me. So this is just going to be one long take. If I make mistakes, please bear with me. So we are talking about Jake Paul, somebody who is fairly new to the fight scene, but has every advantage going in terms of can hire the best coaches, has all the best equipment, can dedicate 100% of his energy and effort to this sport. And then we have Nate Diaz, who is just a dog in the fight world. He can just battle it out. He can take so much punishment. He's been around the fight world for his whole life. And now, yes, has the ability, just like Jake Paul, to really have every advantage. He's made enough money. He can do everything he wants in training camp, dedicate himself 100%. But in my mind, it's a very interesting fight because we have somebody who is a long veteran of the sport, so many battles against a new guy who's just kind of like, you know what, I have a lot of money and I just want to try my hand at fighting. And now they're up against each other, and I find it intriguing, I suppose. Especially, I know a lot of people don't like the Paul brothers. There's a lot of hate that seems to go towards them. Many people like them. Some people are neutral, but a lot of people get very frustrated that they get so much limelight. They get so much stardom when there's all these other fighters who have done so much to get to the high level, and then these guys come in, these influencers, and they just sort of steal away the thunder of these hard-fought athletes. And while I understand that, I also have respect because, as you guys know, I have a YouTube channel, and I recognize how difficult it is to build a YouTube channel, how much dedication and time it takes. And you look at guys like them, me and myself, 200,000 subscribers, guys like them, 20 million subscribers. And I go, wow. That's impressive. And then to transition their YouTube channel from what they used to do when they were younger to now more of the fight world and what they're doing in their life, I still find that equally impressive. So I don't have a lot of hate for these guys. I'm actually decently impressed. And yes, while many people will say, oh, okay, these guys are not fighting the best in the world, and they're picking and choosing their fights in sort of older, beat down MMA fighters, they're still fighting good guys. These are not bums. Nate Diaz is not a bum. But the first point, and the first reason which I'm going to bring up today why I do not think Diaz is going to win is the size discrepancy. Many people are going to go, okay, both guys are weighing in at 185 pounds. Nate Diaz looks pretty big right now, and he's fought at 170 many times in his career. But really, when you stop and think of it, how many fights has he had at 170 against legit people who cut from high up to make 170? Not a whole lot. Naturally, more like a 155-pound fighter throughout his career, I believe. Yeah, he fought Conor McGregor, Leon Edwards, a couple people at 170. But really, he was more like a 155 fighter. Now he's gone from 155 up to 170. This weigh-in is 185 pounds. That is a lot, especially when he's probably not cutting a lot of weight to get there. And we have Jake Paul, who noticeably on weigh-in day looked very gaunt. And I heard rumors that he was walking at 210, if not more, during fight camp. He's a big guy. He's a beefy guy. And I just think that in itself is going to be hard to overcome. People who do not understand weight discrepancy and weight classes and the difference even 3 or 4 pounds can make, you don't understand fight sports. It's as simple as that to me. Yes, weight does not matter when there's skill discrepancy, but when we have people who are close, weight makes a massive advantage. And 3 or 4 pounds goes a long way when people are on very close skill level. So I just think in this situation, it's going to be a little difficult for that size discrepancy to be overcome for Nate Diaz. I have some notes here. I'm just going to glance down at them. Power. The power that Diaz has. Is he going to be able to KO Jake Paul? I don't think so. Not taking away from Diaz's skills as a fighter, as a boxer, but his punches are a little bit more slappy, right? He doesn't power into them. And while he might have enough power with MMA gloves, once he puts on those boxing gloves, the power is going to decrease even more. And I feel like that's going to be an issue. I don't know if he has that one punch knockout power, which he can put Jake Paul out with. If it was somebody a little smaller, maybe. But even though Jake Paul is not tested with high-level fighters crashing shots in, I don't know if Diaz can bring that, and it makes me a little bit concerned at the chances for Diaz to actually win via KO. We know Jake Paul can win over with KO. We've seen him crash in some hard shots. And while maybe he's still not, a super high-level boxer, he has that hitting power. Next, I want to talk about the cardio, the age. Diaz, well, he's not an old guy. He's definitely aging a bit. And we have Jake Paul, who is newer to the sport. He's young. He can push. Well, Diaz can do that for sure. Diaz can definitely push the pace. In training, in my experience at least, as you start to age, you have to be a little smarter with your training. You have to pull back a little bit more so you can still put in hard sessions, but you can't do it like you were in your 20s where you can just push, recover, push, recover, push, recover. It's more like push. You got to take those extra little couple beats to recover, and then maybe a slower session. And then you go back to pushing hard. And I just think that's a disadvantage when you have somebody who's just new to the sport, and I just don't see it going well. That moves us into point number 4, which is talking about the damage both fighters have taken. And very similar to what we were just talking about with age, the damage is going to play a factor in how many fights we've had. With the age that Diaz is at, and the number of fights which he's taken, and the hard battles he's had, he has taken a lot of punches. Somebody like Jake Paul, he's newer to the sport. He might not roll with the shots as well as Diaz, but he's also taken a whole heck of a lot less. And when we start getting into who can take the harder punch, that would be interesting because there's something to be said for less damage. There's also something to be said for rolling with shots and knowing how to take them. So it's a bit of a level playing field in that area in terms of who's had more damage, how much does that damage add up, but I'm still going to give the edge to Jake Paul on this category. And the final one that I want to talk about is just that straight up strength. Not necessarily the KO power, but who's just physically the stronger fighter. Because we know that Nate Diaz likes to step inside and make it a dogfight. He'll stand right in there. Will he be able to do this against somebody who is that much larger than him? If you start getting bullied by somebody bigger and you like fighting on the inside, maybe that works against smaller fighters, but not somebody who has the same height as you plus 20 pounds more in muscle and has that young body. I think it's a bad combo. And while I'm a big fan of Nate Diaz, like many of you are, he's just an entertaining guy to watch. He's got his own unique personality. He's likable in his own way. And while I'll be rooting for him, to a certain extent, I do recognize that this is a hard fight for him. Jake Paul is obviously picking the fights which are right for him at this moment and making sure that they're good, entertaining fights. He's not pulling in nobodies, but he's picking the ones where he has a chance to win. Will we see him in the next fight or two fight, UFC fighters who are naturally 205? Probably not. Naturally 185? Probably not. You pick the guys who are a little bit more towards the end of their career, the guys who are a little bit smaller, the guys who maybe don't have that raw, massive, I can knock you out in one punch sort of power. He does a good job selecting. And credit to him. If you can do that, why would you not? Because he's not looking to become, you hear him sometimes saying, I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that he wants to fight Canelo. Yeah. Even with the size discrepancy, Canelo would annihilate Jake Paul. Annihilate him. Unless he improves something like 300% over the next couple of years. That's not a fight that's ever going to be competitive. But Canelo is a smart fighter, and he's just like, why would I fight this guy? I'm here for my legacy, and this does nothing for my legacy. Somebody like Nate Diaz is happy to go and have some entertaining fights, not worried about the belts, because he just knows, you know what, I've made it. I'm already making the money. People love me. I get to fight. So that's my take on this upcoming, I'm not going to call it a super fight, but influencer fight versus, I guess, MMA legend. It's entertaining. I'm in Reno. The family I'm staying with are big fight fans, obviously, since they brought me down to work with one of their children, and they just want to watch it. I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely watch every fight. Why not? I love it. We're going to throw it on the big screen. They got a massive TV down here, like one of those big projection things, whole movie theater, awesome setup. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys enjoy the fight if you decide to watch this one. And that's it. That's all from me. Just trying to bring you content daily, even when I'm out of town, even when I'm working. So I hope you guys appreciate it. Whew, that was a lot of talking. All right, let's call it there. I need to get to bed so I have some energy for training tomorrow. I will see you guys back here soon for another video. As always, until then, train hard.